Tying up another Carrie Stevens fly today. This is called the Shiner. Believe it or not, she did a number of bucktail streamers. She didn't just stick to the featherwing style of streamers. Bucktails are very popular, and many people saw the effectiveness of bucktail streamers as well as Carrie did, and she has a number of different patterns that she tied that are basic bucktail streamers. This is probably one of the simplest, the Shiner. Simple silver tag, floss body, white belly, brown wing. You could change up the wing color on that a little bit, an olive or blue if you want to. I imagine it wouldn't really change it, but sticking to her original recipe, it's a brown wing over a white belly. That is the Shiner. I'll get started tying. Start the Shiner with my hook in the vise. This is a Partridge CS5-9X. It's a 9X long, 2X heavy streamer hook. It's not quite as heavy and as long as the CS15s, which are a more traditional Carrie Stevens featherwing streamer type fly, I should say hook. But it is a much longer shanked hook nonetheless. I'm going to go ahead and debarb this. This is a size 4, by the way. I'm going to attach my thread because the Shiner has an orange floss body. I'm going to start with a white thread. This is a Danville 210 in white. And that is so that I don't darken up the floss body. And at the same time, the 210 allows me to get from one end of the hook shank to the other a little bit quicker. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the vise. Or excuse me, an eye length behind the eye of the hook. And then I'm going to advance my thread down the hook shank to about 3/4, a little bit more than 3/4 the length of the hook shank. Once I have my thread down at the end of the body, I'll cut away the tag end here. I'm going to tie in the tag for the Shiner, which is a silver tinsel. I'm using a Danville's silver and gold Mylar tinsel in a size, held up the wrong one, in a size 10. Just a little bit wider. I can cover the hook a little bit quicker. You could use a 14 certainly if you want to. And tie that in with the gold side up. Advance my thread down to just past the point of the hook, touching turns. That'll be the end of the tag, and then I'll wrap my thread back up where I tied that in. Go ahead and apply the tag. There's no tail on the Shiner, and there's no rib. There's just the tag of silver tinsel and an orange floss body. And I'll apply the body. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in orange for the body. I'm going to use all 4 strands here. Because this is a little bit shorter shanked hook, even though this is a fishing fly, I'm going to go ahead and pull this down, tie that in so that the floss is the length of the body. I'll apply some wax to my thread, and then I'm going to advance the thread forward and touching turns, binding in that floss along the hook shank. With my thread here at the end of the body and that floss all bound in underneath, I don't want to get too close to the head here because I have the top and bottom bucktail to tie in, but now I'm going to go ahead and apply that floss for the body of the Shiner. noticed as I was wrapping that in that I stopped at one point and took a look at the body here. I thought right in about this area here that I had left a little bit of a gap when I wrapped that in. So don't be afraid to stop at any time, unwrap, go back, fix a little error or something to move forward. With my floss body in, I'm going to switch over to my orange thread. I'm using a Danville this isn't a Danville, it's a Uni-Thread 8/0 in orange. And that is because the head on the shiner is a black head with an orange band. I'm going to attach that orange, bring that back to the back of the head space, binding in the tag end as well as the white. Trim that away. And now I'll tie in my bucktail. The shiner, very simple fly, has a white belly to it and a brown wing to it. And it just uses bucktail. So that's what's in the fly. I've got some bucktail selected here. You want to cut out about a pencil in diameter. Go ahead and clean that. I don't stack this because I don't want the tips too even. I want them tapered, but certainly you could massage this a little bit so they're all more even, or you don't have any that are really, really long sticking out there. You could stack these if you want, but I prefer not to. I'm going to tie the belly in so that it extends past the bend of the hook, maybe about a quarter of a length of the shank of the hook. Make certain that doesn't creep around on top as you're binding that in. Once you have that good and anchored, go ahead and trim away the excess. I'm going to trim that nice and close to your thread wrap so that we're well behind the eye of the hook. Securing that in, smoothing off this area a little bit, I'll tie in the wing. The upper wing on this is just some brown bucktail. Again, I'm going to get about the same amount as I did for the belly. Clean this out. I'm going to go ahead and leave these unstacked so they're nice and tapered. And I'm going to tie these on, and I want these at least the same length. You could even go just a little bit longer if you want, but I tie them in so that they're the same length as the belly. Again, make certain that this does not creep around on you down to the bottom side as you're tying this in. With that well secured in place, I'll trim away the excess. Now it's just a matter of forming the head on this fly. We'll come up to the eye of the hook, start wrapping in, going from the eye of the hook backwards. Because there is just a belly and a upper wing on this, the head on the shiner doesn't end up quite as long as for traditional feather wing streamers, but it certainly does end up just a little thicker, a little fatter. So I just keep wrapping that in until I get a nice smooth transition. Plus I want to get all of that brown covered up in orange so that that orange comes through really nice and clear, isn't darkened down. Do have some black going on the front and the back, so careful not to bulk this up too much. With all that wrapped in, I'll go ahead and put in my whip finish and go ahead and remove the orange thread. With the orange thread removed, got one lone brown hair that escaped. Again, as a fishing fly, I don't think this is going to matter in regards to you're fishing it, but if you're going to frame it or something, you want to try and get that out of there. Or possibly, I hate to say it, even tie up another fly to make certain you get it just the way you want it. Now I'll take my black thread. I'm using a Danville 70 denier in black for this. I'm going to attach my thread on the rear portion of the head. You want to divide the head into thirds for these bands. So I'll attach that in so that I secure this tag end. Trim that away. And then I'll put in a few more wraps to cover up any orange underneath. You don't want to get this too bulky. It's very easy to put too much black thread on here and end up with a wider head in the back than in the middle. Then I'll put in a whip finish. Trim away my thread and I'll reattach behind the eye of the hook. Again, wrapping backwards to trap in the tag end of that thread. I'd say wrapping rearward. Get that secured in there. You trim that away. And now I'll continue moving the thread backwards to about the 1/3 point. So I have a third in the back that's black, a third in the middle that's orange, and a third up front. Sometimes that orange band ends up a little wider, a little narrower. I wouldn't get too bent out of shape on that. Put in a whip finish. Trim away my thread. Some head cement. This fly tight will soak down into those thread wraps real well, securing all of that. And then I'll come back and put a couple of layers of clear lacquer on that to secure that head, not so much for a bright glossy finish, but as much as to secure that thread so that it just lasts a little bit longer. So there's the shiner. Again, a Carrie Stevens pattern. She did do bucktail flies. The bucktail flies were very common, and she has a number of different patterns that she did. This is probably one of the simpler ones, the shiner. Very simple, very basic bucktail streamer. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.